From world events to Washington and New York City, here's your concise world update for Thursday, January 29th. President Donald Trump is weighing options against Iran that include targeted strikes on security forces and leaders to inspire protesters, even as Israeli and Arab officials said air power alone would not topple the clerical rulers. Israel's parliament on Wednesday approved the first reading of the country's 2026 state budget, a key victory for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after days of political uncertainty and last-minute negotiations with Haredi coalition partners. A plane crash in northeastern Colombia on Wednesday killed all 15 people on board, including a local lawmaker. Greenland's prime minister said on Wednesday that there are red lines that cannot be crossed in talks with the United States, while acknowledging that the Arctic region needs stronger security in the face of increasingly assertive Russian activity. U.S. Immigration and Customs enforcement officers in Minnesota were instructed on Wednesday to avoid engaging with agitators, as federal authorities reassess operations after 2 U.S. citizens were fatally shot during protests in Minneapolis this month. The FBI has taken over the investigation into an attack on Representative Ilhan Omar after a man used a syringe to spray an unknown liquid toward her during a town hall meeting Tuesday evening in Minneapolis. An immigration judge on Wednesday granted asylum to a Chinese national, ruling that he had a well-founded fear of persecution if returned to China after exposing human rights abuses there. The U.S. Marshals Service said it is investigating a possible breach involving U.S. government-controlled cryptocurrency accounts after reports that digital wallets tied to federal asset seizures may have been compromised. Senate Democrats on Wednesday laid out demands for sweeping changes to immigration enforcement, days before a deadline to pass a $1.3 trillion spending package needed to avert a partial government shutdown. U.S. Capitol Police arrested a demonstrator after an outburst disrupted Secretary of State Marco Rubio as he was about to deliver opening remarks at a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing. Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk said that her organization will match the federal government's $1,000 contribution to new Trump accounts for the children of its employees. The FBI on Wednesday executed a court-authorized search warrant at the elections warehouse in Fulton County, seeking ballots from the 2020 presidential election, an escalation in renewed federal scrutiny of election administration in the state's most populous county. A driver rammed a car into an entrance of the Chabad Lubavitch World Headquarters in Brooklyn on Wednesday night, damaging the building on an evening when thousands of people had gathered in the neighborhood for a major religious celebration. Police on Wednesday arrested and charged a man in connection with a high-rise fire in the Bronx that killed 1 resident and injured 15 others over the weekend. New York City Council Speaker Julie Menin intends to let 3 other Adams vetoes stand while overriding 17 others. A Brooklyn man was sentenced to 15 years in prison for his role in what prosecutors described as a failed Iran-backed murder-for-hire plot targeting Masih Alanejad, a prominent Iranian dissident living in the United States. An interim report released by Israel's Ministry of Diaspora Affairs and Combating Anti-Semitism shows a sharp rise in deadly anti-Semitic violence worldwide in 2025, including a significant increase in killings of Jews. The S&P 500 briefly crossed the 7,000 mark for the first time on Wednesday before retreating, after the Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged and signaled stronger than expected economic momentum. The Federal Reserve signaled a new pause in its interest rate cycle on Wednesday.
In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy rate unchanged.
From the Middle East to Wall Street, you're up to date.